Hi, I'm Laura.
Hey, I'm Stefan, and you're listening to Attributed, a podcast library by Dreamdata.
The purpose of it is to store and share all the knowledge that we have gathered across Dreamdata employees through our LinkedIn Lives, podcasts, and webinars.
The typical topics you'll find here can be stuff like marketing,
Sales,
B2B ads,
operations.
social selling maybe. Hello and welcome everybody to another Attributed session brought to you by us at Dreamdata. I am Stefan Hiddebrandt, and I'm super excited today because today I actually get to speak with the founder of a LinkedIn page that I have been following for years now. What that page is, we'll get into in a second. Today we're going to talk about how this kind of very popular statement that the feed is the new funnel came along, but I think it's actually very true that the B2B buying journey is not what it used to be. Or at least there's this old school way of thinking about B2B discovery as being some very rational process. A company discovers a problem, they go to Google, they start reading different vendor pages, and then suddenly they have a list of 5 vendors they need to talk to, and then they do demo calls, and then they do trials, etc. But Daniel is one of those people who are kind of leading this new path of changing how discovery happens. And he does so through, not the least, through his LinkedIn page called The Marketing Millennials, which surprised to me, Daniel has 1 million followers now, which is an absolutely mental number. But Daniel, I would love to hear you just kind of, I don't know if you would explain how to your parents what it is that you do for a living, but I'd love to kind of hear the story of how you arrived to where you are today with all your many media outlets and what is it that you guys do at Marketing Millennials.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that because so many people ask me what I do, and I just say, yeah, I have this like newsletter and podcast. It's not nothing really, because like in the wild people say that. But yeah, the marketing millennials started out of a me seeing that the LinkedIn feed was a lot of CMOs and leaders talking and not people in the weeds talking about it. So I wanted to start a podcast hyping up people who are actually doing the work. So it started off with a podcast called The Marketing Millennials. And then I decided to make a LinkedIn page to try to promote the marketing millennials. And I had this like goal, 10,000 followers in 1 year, and it got to like 200,000 followers. And then I realized I want to use this as a page for just attention. I don't care about like overly promoting the podcast. I just want to like get it the most amount of attention so people see the marketing millennials and then go research the marketing millennials. I cared less. I was noticing podcast clips weren't getting that many attention. So I was trying to figure out ways that other platforms were doing that I could bring to LinkedIn. So at first I was doing quote tweets on there of like people I wanted as guests, and then I started memes, but people weren't doing it at the time. And then I slowly brought that over to LinkedIn. I don't say I'm the only one who did that, but that's what worked for me. And then after a while, it became a newsletter, and the newsletter now is at 120K subscribers. We have an event called Marketing Land. So we run that once a year. It's a virtual event. Last year, we had 10,000 people register. It's been going on for 3 years. It's all stuff, and we're trying to just make marketing education accessible. And I like to describe marketing millennials as the top of the T for marketers. Like, if you want to discover anything about marketing, you can come to the marketing millennials, and there probably is a podcast episode or a newsletter or a speaker that could answer a question about demand gen or social or whatever you're looking for. So, and I truly believe that every marketer should know the top of the T. So that's my why I keep going broader and not niching down.
Yeah, maybe just for those who doesn't get the top of the T, could you lay that out a little bit more?
Yeah, so I understand like a lot of marketing people are very specialized. Like I only do demand gen, I only do marketing ops, but I truly believe that you need all the pieces of the puzzle to be great at marketing. And even going even higher, understand what the business does to be great at marketing. So if you don't understand like how your role connects with other functions in marketing and other functions in the business, and I don't think you will be as successful. You'll be good at it. I think you'll be decent at your role, and you could probably go more, but the best marketers I know, and the reason I saw this is I was in marketing ops and I
Mm.
had to know everything. I had to like know why demand gen, why SEO, why this. I was talking to every leader in the business, trying to like piece together why this number was going down and why this wasn't connecting to this.
That's
So I truly understood with the business, and it made me, I feel like, a better marketer because I understood why things were working on every part of the business.
That's super interesting. And I can, as like when I look back at my marketing career, I've kind of stacked on a little bit more depth to each of the pillars over time. I started going super deep on SEO, and then you realize, oh shit, we're not selling anything. So all these visitors to the website that didn't matter that much. Maybe we need to find out how do we attract traffic where there's money related to it, or should we be buying ads instead? So I can definitely testament that knowing more of the marketing disciplines and thinking more full funnel makes you at the end a better marketer.
Yeah, I mean, I totally believe it. I think like for me, and I also think like we're in the era now, it's like you got to kind of be like a table marketer, I call it. Like, is like you should be, if you're good at two separate disciplines in marketing, you could even be better at marketing. Like, for example, like I understand marketing ops and I also have like content social in mind. And knowing both has like helped me understand like, oh, you actually have to, how things are attributed and then how things are, how content needs to perform and needs to get attention and you need brand to win, which you need both of those pieces to win in marketing. I think you need the performance and the brand to win.
Yeah, right, absolutely. If we then change chapter a little bit into kind of this promise of talking a bit about discovery and how kind of awareness is built nowadays and how you see the kind of the buying journey changing. What kind of got you on this path of? Can you think of any example where you said like, oh wow, okay, things are not the kind of old school linear, somewhat rational way of selecting vendors, but the feeds are now starting to steer the conversations of which tools people will try out.
Yeah, I mean, what I notice is if you notice how many posts, if you go on, especially now that they're tracking these metrics, but if you seen over the years how many LinkedIn posts have been like screenshotted and posted in a Slack channel, how many times has a friend shared a meme to you that's funny because it was passed on, how many times have you read a LinkedIn post and then would go tell your friend, how many times have you been in private gated communities and seen someone recommend something. So the feed's private and public now. Like there's the hidden Discord channels, there's the hidden Slack channels, there's that. And then the other way of discovering is through, I could think it's like discovery has become more passive than it used to be. Like you said this at the beginning, it used to be I'm looking for a tool. I'm going to sit down and go research it. I'm going to go to like a review site and then I'm going to decide, then I'm going to request a demo because the review site told me to do it. And it still wasn't linear that marketers made it seem, but it still was like, okay, there wasn't a social involved. There's still that word of mouth people were asking. Now I think it's like more passive. I think that we're not necessarily sitting down. We're listening to podcasts, we're in communities, we're getting screenshots from peers. So I think that everything that feels accidental that we discovered is actually like people, marketers staying top of mind, telling you that this is the tool that you need through creating a great product that's being shared in conversations between everybody. So I think the discovery has been more passive than like active. And then once they get to the point like I need this tool, it's already a tool in mind and they've talked to all these marketers. So usually now like when people get to your site, the intent is I already have made my researching decision where before it was like I am in the researching phase.
It's such a interesting point in time as a marketer because what you're basically saying is that you can also sway your addressable market, your prospects quite heavily, and you can probably even steer which projects they pick up in the company they work at, because you know that in marketing ops there's always an infinite amount of projects that you could pick up. But if we are good marketers and we manage to kind of both do this internal and external showcasing of what we do, then our problem can suddenly slide up where it maybe didn't belong, but because you're so good at engineering the social media, your problem becomes more and more important. Dark social, as Chris Walker would name it 3 or 4 years ago, or what we think.
It's still very leaning dark social, but I think the next phase is like dark social plus gated communities. I think people and in-person stuff, like we're in the era of like marketers want more connection, market AIs come, and then the other phase, which I know we could talk about, but I think like brand is going to be matter even more and more as a company now, because that's how you show up in LLMs. Like that's how you show
Mm,
up in Claude recommending like brand mentions. And if you're not getting mentioned on social, on articles, on press, on like things that marketers said was like nice to have, like, and they were only focused on the demand gen, is going to matter even more as like more people are researching best tool to do attribution, and
mm,
if your name doesn't come up, like
yeah,
it's because you're not in conversations on the internet,
yeah.
and you're not showing up on the internet.
Yeah, I'm still like whenever I get the chance, I really try to preach to my fellow colleagues at Dreamdata to come on, post on LinkedIn because it's really, really helping us drive awareness about our company, and it's really like producing good memes is a real job in nowadays because these memes travel far and wide, and it raises awareness about what we're doing. So come on, please contribute to this like social effort of us getting noticed.
Yeah, and it's funny that people are so anti meme marketing, anti because if you have to, like, I think marketers sometimes in B2B don't put yourself as you as a consumer of actual consumer products and think of like, okay, what am when I'm on social, what am I sharing? I am not sharing a case study with my best friend. Like I'm not
Mm,
sharing I am
mm,
sharing a meme with my friends or my marketing friends, or in the Slack channel, I'm sharing an interesting thought leadership take, or I'm sharing something that someone did. They're not sharing this best report by this person. Nobody has time to read that. They want to share snippets of content that they thought was cool from a person they trust, or a business they trust, or a leader they trust, or a company that is something funny. So you either have to be entertaining, inspiring,
yeah,
or educating to win in this market right now. And if
fun.
you're not doing that, and LinkedIn is the best place for
Yeah,
most B2B. I would say there's other places. If you're doing some B2B, there's other hidden communities that you should, but go wherever your audience is, as I always say. But LinkedIn is a great place to start.
yeah. I don't know if you remember my colleague back like Sam 3 years ago. He made that post with like the cheerleader, two
Oh
cheerleaders.
yeah.
It said like deal one from sales, and then like a billion marketing touches beneath. And that meme has like just from his numbers you can see that has reached like millions of people on LinkedIn. And it's this kind of there's something about something about humor that just travels really, really well on social media. But then you also add the spice of you by being able to pull a good joke about whatever niche tool you do. You also demonstrate to the people that are consuming that meme that you get this industry and you know the pains that you're sitting with in this role, for example, as a B2B marketer. And we've actually taken those memes that went well organically, and then we've run them as ads as well. And they do like 3x better than like the more corporate messages that we try to push out to cold accounts. So yeah,
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes like that companies make is like not having social and paid work together, because social is the best validator of ideas.
yeah,
And then if you're not, and paid is guaranteed distribution of those ideas. So if you want to get the best paid ad to work, is you if you already validated that it works,
it's
and then
fantastic.
you have paid distribution that's guaranteed, it's going to travel even further than you would have thought. But a lot of people, what they do is run an ad. They haven't tested it in the market.
Mm,
They're getting guaranteed impressions. Impression doesn't mean someone has attention. It just means someone sees an ad, and they it's not working. So I think validate on so organic before even getting to the next stage of running an idea or a message or a concept on paid social.
That's super smart. Daniel, there are a lot of people are starting to ask questions here. I'll just pull one up and then read it out, and then you can do the reply.
Okay.
Do you see product strategies shifting too? I've seen more companies give free access tools and then layering in purchasing tiers once you reach a feature threshold, becoming more of a consumer product to do it yourself than having to talk to a sales rep and get support through a customer success manager.
This is like the great debate of like product, right? I think I hate to say this as a marketer, but it does depend on like what your product is. Like, but I do think that if you can give anybody a taste in like the Notion model or the Canva model, a taste of them feeling like they're building something in your product, like it's like the IKEA effect where they feel like ownership now of like your tool, and once they want to build something more and they add on layers, they do more with your product. So I think it's an easier offer to get someone in a free funnel and then try to convert them versus try to get them to request a demo. I think a version of that, if you want to, is like if you can't do that yourself, is create free tools or things that like if you were have an expensive tool, maybe create like this is how type in these things and I'll give you how I would run an attribution model for you. And then you prove that you're the expert through the free tool. You get that email address, they're interested in attribution. So there's the free tool and then there's free trial. It depends on, but it's a whole different motion. And I think the free model you have to is based on volume versus the enterprise model is based on the best account, the few accounts that you can get that are great for this tool. So
Yeah, I'm also there's like there's this whole concept of kind of micro conversions and kind of if the only thing is you have is a lot of attention and then like a 5, 6, 7 digit contract size on the other side, it's very hard to go from attention to buying. So it's a little bit about like slightly opening the door to get people one step closer to you, whether that's, for example, you have a newsletter that is kind of a step further, you have podcast listeners. So it's like, how can you give people small things that actually pulls them closer to you without having to cross that very big river of paying a very large sum of money to to try a piece of software?
yeah, I think I mean, I totally believe like ownership of your audience is what you need to be doing is like find a way to get someone in your community and deliver value before you make them buy. So get them into that newsletter, give them value, have this a podcast like this, give them value, you giving them value, helping them with their job, and your name is a part of something that's helping them get value. And then when they're looking for a tool that is yours, you are top of mind. That's why McDonald's still runs billboards. That's why these people still like they want you to be top of mind when you make a decision when you're hungry, not when like to go to McDonald's right now because you see a billboard. They want you to be continuously top of mind.
Yeah. If we then change chapter and then head into kind of the specifics of kind of the feed or of the content you put up. I know you're by any means now an expert on what works and like what should B2B companies be posting, what shouldn't they be posting, how do they gain trust with their audience, how did they build consistency in their company about what they're posting, kind of how does B2B companies become good at kind of like leading this wave of the feed is the new discovery?
I think number one, I always say is like pick one channel to dominate on. Like don't go pick five channels, dominate on one channel. So if you're going on one channel, you have complete focus on the channel that you're doubling down on. So that's number one. Two is like you got to commit to being consistent on that channel. I think consistency beats brilliance in marketing all the time. Like one good post a month versus someone showing up in your feed 4 or 5 times a week in your mind, you'll win. Second, I think you need to have some sort of an opinionated opinion or some sort of something that like helps you stand out. So I think you need some sort of way to be different than someone else in the feed. So I like to say the hill that you would die on. So think about like what hill you would die on, as a concept of like being different in the feed. So don't just say something that's broad, like be very, because and you will piss off some people and that's okay, but you'll get your audience that you really want. So the three, like, I think one is and then also like when you're creating content, you have to create it above average than like I'm not saying create A, I'm saying B plus, like literally create better than the average content out there to win. So you at least stand out through like all this average stuff that's going on there, and do what you're good at. Like if you have a thought leader in your company to do that, go the thought leader route. If you're humorous, do the humorous route. Like if you're do what you're actually good at to win, and then to rally people around it. I think it always has to start with the leader. Is you have to get some sort of leader in your company to like start this motion. And if they can't do it or they don't have time, interview them. Like sit down once a week, book a meeting on the calendar, interview them, get their ideas on paper, and then you, as the expert in content, create content around them. So I think it's not the formula is easier than it looks, but the commitment and consistency is harder than it looks. And then also, the last thing I would say, don't be once you have an idea, the best content creators out there say the same thing a thousand different ways. They don't say a thousand different things. So if you have one or two messages that hit, just double down and tweak it and say it differently and put it in different formats. Do a meme one day, do a text post one day, do a video on that. And because if it works on social once, it's going to work again. And always double down until that idea dies in the feed. And like you said, with that meme that still gets attraction in the feed today, I would continually post that meme every 3 months just to like recirculate it, because it's going to get people forget that you posted it and they'll remember it and they'll laugh. I do it all the time. I post the same thing I posted
Mm.
2 months ago, 3 months ago, and people still like the post because it works.
I think that's I think one of the biggest mistakes many people do is that they think that everyone you're connected to is chronologically following every single post you do, and then they get scared of posting the same topic because they think everybody would have already seen it. But that's not how
And
it
then,
works.
and the negative part about that is every time you post, more new people come into your audience. So, like, just because those people have seen them, someone in your audience hasn't seen them. So, when you're building an audience, there's always the new people that come in different part of your journey, and you need to reintroduce yourself and ideas over and over and over. And who cares? Like, let the people who are raving fans tune out on that post because you'll post something different the next day and the next day. So you always need to be thinking that like there is new people coming in your audience, and you always need to reintroduce your ideas and tell people what you care about, and whether you do the same thing or different thing, you just got to keep pounding in your mind, and you got to say it at least. Like, repetition is how people buy, so it needs to be stuck in their mind that this is what this person cares about. I mean, you mentioned Chris Walker and Dark Social. He said Dark Social about 1,000 times before people like
It's not wrong.
actually like caught on to Dark Social.
Yeah.
And that's why it won, because he kept saying it. It's not like he didn't say it once and then never said it again.
That's so true. Then you said so many good things when you like like listed off the best practices. I think we should just let's dive a little bit deeper into all of them. I think maybe even on top of that, you could layer a kind of an ICP, like an ideal customer exercise
Mhm.
before you even start. Like at your company, do you really know who your product is for? Before
Yeah.
actually having to decide what is the messaging that we need to go out and throw out and try out on the internet. um, because once you have a deliberate decision about who you're talking to, then it's also like easier to go that much more narrow, or that's more opinionated about what is the right and the wrong thing in this industry.
Yeah. I mean, how you want me to dive in? I think, I mean, for me, let's say in the marketing millennials, we know that our ICP is a range of job titles, and we know our ICP is a range of company sizes. So we know it's in a box. And for our newsletter, we separate open rates and stuff like that by verified open rates and open rates in general, and like verified clicks and not and verified meaning that's our ICP clicking. So we need it like the more when we look at metrics, we're looking at like, okay, is the verified people caring about what we're doing,
Yeah.
not the bulk of things. Also, I think that so that's one thing. And then social is another way of testing it. I also tested about like if I post this, how many shares is it getting? I look at I don't look at engagement. I always look at like for Instagram, for example, I look how many people are sharing or reposting that post. In LinkedIn, the same way I look at how many people are sending. You can't get all the metrics because a lot of people screenshot things, but I care about the share more than anything. So if someone's sharing, that means they care about that content more than they're liking more. So I always optimize content for shareability over likability. So like, is they going to share this meme? Are they going to share it? So internally, it's verified. We go down the verified path of like because we also want to make our funnel goes from newsletter to events to it's not really a funnel but to a private community, so it's like
And you even have
um
the LinkedIn page on top of that becomes.
yeah, like my goal on social is to get as much attention as possible, so like I'm open about that. Like people, if you like that is my goal on social. I want to get as much attention as possible. I want to be everywhere. I want everybody to know the name, the market, millennials. And
Yeah.
then if you want deeper stuff, you can come to my newsletter. You can listen to my podcast. You can attend the webinar. You can attend. And then if you want more, if you're more of my ICP, you can come into our private community or our private summits or stuff like that. So it goes from like get as much attention, help as many marketers as I can in my ICP to get them to in-depth things in my newsletter because then I get first-party data on them. I can collect first-party data. The first-party data helps me do create better content because I understand this audience way better now. And also when you're creating a newsletter, you also have to appease sponsors. So like we know our sponsors care about these people. So how do we get more of those people to like our content so we can get more sponsorship dollars into the door? So the way we think about it is like the ICP is what the sponsors we want to go after as sponsors of our events on newsletter, our podcasts, and stuff like that. So and that's why we do verified because we're getting to the point where we're only sharing like verified stuff to our sponsors because that's what they care about. So we're wanting to we want those like legit metrics, not like, oh, this got a 55% open rate and this click through rate. And I know the verified people got this is how many verified people have opened, this is how verified people clicked, this is how many verified people did an action.
And maybe there's a good hook here to what you said in the beginning about knowing more of the T. So
Yeah.
let's say you're a content creator now, but this thing about segmenting newsletters by titles and stuff like that's all your marketing ops skill being pulled out of the box to do better content, right?
Yeah, it's also A/B testing. Like there's like I A/B test little things on subject lines, like if I capitalize this versus not, if I put emoji versus not, if I do this versus not. Like I'm A/B testing subject lines all the time. I'm A/B test reeling things. Like in Instagram, you can trial reel things. So I will put a trial reel to people who are non-followers, see if that works. If it doesn't, I don't put it on my feed. It's always a continue of like testing, but the only way you could test in social is putting out as much content as you can and seeing if it works and then when
Yeah.
it works. But I'm up to the point where I know like something most like these bucket of content are going to work.
Yeah.
I know there's like if it's been viral before in another industry, I know if I bring it to my industry, it's going to work. And then I have another bucket of like here are original ideas where I need to test myself and see if validate that actually people care about these ideas. So I have a bucket that these are ideas that people work, these are the ideas, the trends that have worked, and these are ideas of like that I need to test, and they could be home runs or zeros. So, but I have I do most of the stuff that works 70% of the time, like, and then the 20% of the time I take things that worked in other industries and make it for marketing, and then the 10% of the time I'm always trying new things.
It's I can definitely testify this thing about grabbing a trend that works on TikTok translating into your own industry and then using it on LinkedIn, that we've or like following like specific meme threads on Reddit and then changing the copy to your industry,
Exactly.
it flies.
It's also because LinkedIn is, I would hate to say, it's like 2, 3 weeks late to the internet. So it's like if you can be early to like LinkedIn, you're early. Like even though it's late to Twitter and Reddit, you're early to LinkedIn, or even Instagram's a little late to like what happened on TikTok. Like things that went viral on TikTok, like go viral on Instagram like a week or two later
Yeah,
than
no,
it did on
it's so
TikTok.
true. It's so true. So where does it then start? Is it Reddit or is it even darker channels than than Reddit?
I think for me, I'm a big Reddit and like X and comment reader. I think comments are low key on LinkedIn. Like comments are like the biggest. If comments getting a lot of runway. That's where I test a lot of ideas, and that's a very big growth hack on LinkedIn right now is comments. So if you really want to test if an idea works and do low lift things, and if you're a brand that is also have strong guardrails, use comments because like the guardrails are less on a comment than they are on your a feed. So I use comments as a way to grow the Market Millennials page more than I use in feed posts. So I'm coming when I see something that's relevant, I'll take a meme, I'll make a meme relevant for that post, and I'll post it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, that comment it will never go in the feed. But if it does, it's going to go in the feed in like a week.
Once you
Um,
figure out the game, it's not that hard.
no, but you got to figure out the game is but I think it takes trial and error. Like people say this all the time, but you really do have to understand the pain points of your audience. When I always say if I went to go like do this with a plumbing industry, I would fail because I do not know what it's like to be in the weeds of a plumber. So you really have to understand marketers' pain points or your pain points or the audience. And if you don't, that's where a creator comes in or hiring a customer that you have inside your company as an evangelist to you so they can spread ideas
Mm.
of the pain points so that you have to bring somebody who's been in that your consumers or your audience's shoes to actually win in the content game.
It's the importance of being able to like demonstrate that you get your audience. It's so important. I tell my marketing team members also to like listen to the sales calls and listen to the exact words that our customers are using, and then rip those comments straight up and put them on our website or put them on LinkedIn or anywhere
And
like.
now it's easier than ever to do that because you just could put 1,000 like sales transcripts into AI and ask like what are like common statements that are in here? Like what are common pain points that are coming up multiple times? Like you can create like custom like GPTs and stuff like that that you could do that for your own company. Like it's so much easier than ever to do audience research based on reviews and comments and stuff like that than before. I still think it doesn't replace like being on the ground and listening to how everyday conversations happen, but I think this it's a starting point of if someone's saying this word 5, 6 times, this is what our audience says. Put that on your landing page, put it on your ads, put it on in social. Say it multiple times.
Mm. Do you actually do any consulting, Daniel, of for companies who want to take on this path, going this kind of feed is the new funnel kind of path?
I mean, I have an agency that helps run LinkedIn, like
Oh,
founders and companies. So I help people like do company pages and founder brands. It's kind of we don't really promote ourselves, but a lot of people come to me, and if they're good, like fit for my ICP, and I know I can be successful for them. I do so. Like I actually do run a few brands you probably see in your feed right now.
what I
I keep it stealth though, because I don't like I think that they should get the credit. I just want to like help them like elevate their presence on social.
because I like, yeah, maybe if we then, let's say you're a new brand that wants to kind of like that intuitively feels that we are right in what we're talking about here. kind of what is the kind of the business case that they need to kind of bring to the teams? Is there like, do you ever help people kind of shape the narrative that they need to come with to the CFO to
I
take?
mean, I definitely could, and but it's not like something I've like done in person, but I've
Oh,
helped people do this. But I think now more than ever, it's actually easier than it was 5 years ago because one, with AI coming down, it's actually made it even easier because one, the way you show up, and I said this before, is brand mentions and being seen on social and being, because they're going to pick up what you say, what the conversations you're saying on LinkedIn and all this stuff, and it's going to be in there. And if your brand is showing up, so that's one thing. I think two is like impressions, like you're already running, if you can say I'm running this many impressions on paid and this is how many impressions I'm getting on, so like on organic, you're saving the cost, that you can calculate the cost of like impressions like organic. And I think I've noticed this too, like some people don't get it, and I'm never going to fight people who don't get it. And sometimes it's the wrong company to do it, and you the even if you tell them this is the way to do it, they're never going to do it, and it sucks. And but the brands who are doing it are winning. The brands who are having company pages, I mean, their founders talking online, their company being on social active, having multiple employees. Like I think people talk about UGC a lot, but I also think like employee generated content is a big thing now. Like having employees and founders and leaders and experts in the space posting helps you stay top of mind, especially in a B2B space. So there's like cost analysis, and then also like if we do a long form piece of content, like, and we chopped it, you can get millions of views. So like I always start off like, if I was in internal, I would start like get the founder doing like a podcast, or get the founder doing something that's long form, or get a leader doing something long form. And then as a social team, like help create questions that would be good on social, or help get people who could help promote your brand on social, and start with the long form, because the long form, this piece of content, you put a transcript in AI or the script or stuff like that, you can get 50 clips, versus like trying to get someone. So start with something long form, you a podcast, a webinar series, or something else. Like that's where I would start if I really wanted to start. And then I would trickle it down to social after that. But it always starts with like the founder or a leader getting that. But it's very low cost to start like a webinar series or a podcast. It's very low cost.
yeah. It sounds like you know a thing or two about Reddit, and it's kind of one of the platforms that I've just never really gotten. I was thinking maybe if you like, are you kind of using doing marketing millennial stuff in there as well?
No, I mean, I use it more as like a research tool. Like I'm
Mm,
a lurker on Reddit. I wish I was like actually better at Reddit, but
yeah.
you could tell now that Reddit is as important as like people are saying best marketing tool Reddit
Mm,
when they like search things now,
mm,
because they want to see actual conversations of
mm,
people talking about the tool versus getting a piece of content that says this is the best tool. So Reddit is, if you can show up in conversations there, and the way to do, I mean, the way is like be to dominate any channel, you have to be consuming on that channel a lot.
yeah.
So if you want to be consuming, if you want to be good at Reddit, be a consumer first, then a contributor, and then you could start being bigger, or like find someone in your niche who is an active person on Reddit to help you join conversations that are happening in your space. So I'm just a very big, use it as a research tool for content, because if it has a lot of like upvotes and it's an idea I think I could resonate with and write about, I will save that as a future piece to write about,
Right.
in my own opinion. But I'll do that. So I'd use it as a tool to
That's great.
to
Yeah, I've tried. I dip
research.
my toes once in a while, and I always get burnt because I have not been doing what you are saying here, Daniel. That like find a subreddit that is relevant for you and just start consuming. And it's what we talked about with LinkedIn as well. You really need to know what is the voice and tone here, what's the vibe, what is the kind of what resonates right now. And then if you step in as a complete outsider and post something, people can smell it a million miles away.
There's always a community for your niche on the internet. Like that I know for sure. You could there it might be in a little hole in the internet somewhere, but your niche is talking about something somewhere in the internet where it's a micro community, a creator, like, and you just need to be able to be in that community to win, to understand the language. You could be a lurker, you could be a, but you need to understand you need to, and then I think the other side of it is like in person is becoming even more important. So go to the places where your people are hanging out, listen to the everyday language that they're saying in person, have conversations with people. That's going to help you too. So just find places where people are hanging out and be a consumer in those places and actually have your ears open instead of talking.
Super smart. Okay, let's do the last chapter here, Daniel, and then look towards what's coming up in 26. So the year's just started. Are there any? Let's look at it like in two ways. Are there any things that is going out of your playbook in this year, and are there any things that kind of is going into your playbook this year?
That's a good question. I mean, a lot of things is like doubling down on things, but I think doing more in-person micro events is in my play, like more in my playbook this year, like showing up places where we could be is one thing that's in my playbook. I think continuing doubling down on LinkedIn, but like my personal brand, I think there was this shift where personal brands were like big and then company pages started coming big. And I think there's a shift back to like people. So really doubling down on like my personal brand on LinkedIn is something that's in for me. This is what bad to say, and I don't say this is advice that people today for like what's out for me is like things that I'm not good at and I'm like short form video besides memes, I'm not good at, and I'm not going to double down because I don't have anybody on my team that's good at it, and I'm not. I would love to double down on that, but I can't. So doubling down on things that I am not good at is out of my playbook. I'm going to continually double down on first party data things, like anything I can collect information
Ooh,
like in a first party way. I'm going to double down on that, whether it's like getting questions in newsletter community in like gated community, and gated community is where I'm doubling down to is like getting more people in the community conversations, like that stuff. I think that's super important. I know I'm all over the place, but I didn't really
that's
dig
great. It's great. Like,
into
so first party data is like, I guess for me, what I'm hearing is like something like you have a million followers on the marketing millennial page. How do you actually get data and knowledge about who these people really are so that once you want to do other stuff, you have a much better opportunity of actually reaching these people?
yeah. I think the last thing is like focusing. I did focus a lot. I've always focused on attention, but now that platforms like have metrics to do this, and I said this earlier, is like I'm focusing on content that gets shared. So like how could I create content that is passed around, whether it's forwarded in an email, where it's forwarded in the DMs on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm paying attention to those metrics more and more. And
Mm.
if even if a post gets let's say 100 likes and 200 shares, I know it's a good post. Like I'm focusing on like getting that metric higher and higher and higher.
That's very interesting. It's like
By
look like it's
yeah.
people who actually click the share button on LinkedIn that you're like
Mhm.
paying attention.
Yeah, or send button or like there's like repost and sends like that. Repost means someone's validated your idea
Yeah.
is like something they
Nice.
believe. A share means that they thought it was interesting enough to like DM someone that they care
Yeah.
about your idea. So I think the more you can optimize for people validating like this is a cool idea or sharing you'll get passed around the internet more.
That's really like yeah. So I think I used to like care about like people actually commenting and you could see who's doing what. I haven't thought so much about the share send thing. Are there any kind
Comments are good. I think I'm focusing on the opposite thing. Is like I'm trying to like comment
mm,
more than I'm trying to post. So I'm like gonna also focus on like how could I get my name in conversation, because a key for social media for anybody out there is that if someone launches a platform launches a new feature, that means they're putting effort behind it and attention behind it and impressions behind it. And LinkedIn launched two features the last year, which is impressions for
Yeah.
comments. So that means they care that people are commenting, and they launched saves and
Mm,
sends on LinkedIn as a metric. So that means they care if your post is being
mm,
sent or
yeah.
saved in the feed. So there's ways to now optimize your content to say like share this with a friend or save this for later or things like that to like get your
Yeah.
stuff more in the feed more. So have those call to
Are there
action.
any kind of tangible thing you can say about optimizing for the scent? Is it just kind of studying the past uh, posts, or are there any kind of like things people can do to optimize for that actually happening?
Yeah, so there's two things I think about is one is I think in the number one thing in social that wins is consistency and relevancy. So for the thing that actually is let's go down the relevancy bucket. So relevancy is either like, is it is the idea relevant? Is it the point? Is it relevant in the point of time? So like, for example, if like there was a meme during the Super Bowl, that's only relevant during that point of time. So to share that during that point of time, that will get more shares versus posting a meme about that happened a long time. And then the other part is like relevant to your ICP, and that's all pain point stuff, and that's evergreen stuff that like people always. And it's funny because most ICP think their problems are unique, but marketers mostly have like a lot of the same problems in every single role. So they think their problem is very unique, but like underlying problem is like pretty much like the same problem.
Funny.
Like it comes down to a few pain points that happen. So if you can figure out the underlying problems and make ideas with that. And then third is like I'd say relevancy, but and then opinionate, like something that's like different than what's in the internet that people
Mm,
like coming up with something that is like people are saying but aren't saying out loud, or
yeah.
people are like understand, and or like a new idea that people are will get shared more than other things. So something that's interesting or relevant or like, and then obviously
Yeah.
funny gets shared, but funny has to be connected with pain point. And like for meme marketing especially, like the meme has to be relevant to like the demographic of your
Yeah.
audience and the pain point of your audience. So like you can't post like a meme of a show that is a Gen Z show and you're marketing to millennials and Gen X. Like it might not hit. You have to like take things that are relevant and interesting to
Yeah.
that group of people.
So good. Paul, Daniel, are there any kind of last things top of mind that we should address on this topic, you think?
I think that there's a lot of things in, and I know we're talking about attribution, but there's a lot of things that are not in your dashboard that you're missing. And I think, and it shouldn't deter you from like doing certain actions, because you can start understanding a little bit if it's working through hidden metrics. So for example, like if you're doing more in social and your company's like brand mentions should go like SEO, like something, and it's not Google winning there. It's you doing something off platform that, so brand mentions should go up, for example. Like if people are sharing your stuff, like that's a metric that like you should start caring about. It's not like the platforms that Meta, Google, all these platforms, like want you to spend more money on their platform. So they're gonna their metrics and it's gonna look way better than you think. But right now, what's winning is more brand stuff, more in feed stuff, more how people are actually consuming content today. So go where people are consuming content. Don't only focus on like those two channels that everybody focuses on.
Mm. So good, Daniel. And yeah, I can only just once again personally testify that the stuff coming out of the Marketing Millennial LinkedIn page is really worth taking a look at if you're a B2B marketer. And you probably are, since you're listening to this conversation anyway. Daniel, what's the right path for people to take into your funnel if they want to like stay connected to you and learn more about what you do?
So there's different places like you could DM me on LinkedIn, Daniel Murray. You could, if you want interested in marketing content, themarketingmillennials.com. We have a newsletter that we send out 3 times a week, and then podcast the marketing millennials. If you need help with LinkedIn, we have an agency that does that too. So there's multiple different ways, but yeah, if you like funny stuff and interesting, like you will follow me. If you don't think it's funny, it's okay, you could tune out. I'm probably not the right person to follow that.
But thank you so much for your time, Daniel. I really appreciate listening to all the things you've learned.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It was great.
We hope you like listening to us. Subscribe to our podcast and the ones that we have been guests on.
And if you have any feedback for us, just do let us know. And should there be a guest that you think we should be talking to, then pitch us.
We're looking forward to seeing you.